The following content is for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. To obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem, you should contact an attorney directly for a comprehensive consultation. Use of and access to this program do not create an attorney-client relationship between Mrs. Klyashtorny and the listener.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show, where the experts offer you educational information from local experts in the field of legal health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every week at this time for great educational information from lawyers, doctors, contractors, and specialists in their field. Sit back and enjoy the next hour of Ask the Experts.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ask the Experts radio show on 610 AM ESPN. We greatly appreciate your time here today. On today's Ask the Experts show, we have Miss Natalie Klyashtorny, who is of counsel of the law firm of Knockinson PC, located in Center City, Philadelphia, where her practice focuses in on business and commercial counseling and litigation and employment and labor law. Since 2015, she has been named by the Philadelphia Magazine as a super lawyer in the field of business litigation, and previously in 2007, 2008, 2010, 11, and 12, she was named by Philadelphia Magazine as a Pennsylvania Super Lawyer Rising Star. She is admitted to practice in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the state of New Jersey, the District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, and the District Court for the District of New Jersey. Natalie received her undergraduate degree from American University and graduated from Temple University School of Law. While in law school, she was an associate editor of the Temple International and Comparative Law Journal. Ms. Klyashtorny, thank you for being here on the Ask the Experts radio show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well.
Doing good. I'm glad you're doing well. We wanted to talk about business law, so we'll dive right into it. What type of business matter cases does your firm mainly handle?
Our firm focuses on representing professionals, small and medium-sized business owners, and real estate investors and developers. Mm-hmm. We act as outside counsel for those companies that do not have their own in-house legal departments. So basically, we provide all the benefits of an in-house legal department without any of the overhead or excessive costs of one. We counsel our clients and provide economical, creative solutions on issues of business formation and management, business separation or dissolution, and regarding all their workforce and human resources issues. As for our real estate clients, we have negotiated and represented clients in everything from the purchase of a single-family home to multi-million-dollar investment purchases. We also represent real estate developers in every step of developing their projects by negotiating and drafting contracts and obtaining the necessary legal approvals and zoning.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there are also times when disputes arise and litigation becomes necessary, and we step in then as well and represent our clients in those situations as well.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Now, does your firm handle federal cases? A lot of people ask those kind of questions, especially in business law.
Yes, we do, Maurice. Our law firm regularly represents clients in both state and federal courts. Business litigation matters in federal courts, as opposed to state courts, occur when there is an alleged violation of a federal law, such as Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the Age Discrimination Employment Act, all of which are examples of federal laws that prohibit discrimination in the workplace. Business litigation matters also arise between citizens of different states. For instance, if you live in Pennsylvania, you have a company in Pennsylvania, and you wish to sue a company in New Jersey, you have the option of filing in federal court. However, sometimes, even if a client has the option to sue in federal court, for a host of reasons, the client would be better served bringing the case in state court instead. When that happens, we analyze the issues and explain to clients their options and make recommendations as to what they should do.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's say, for instance, why should I use your firm when I can use any large national firm? There's a lot of large national firms out there, so why would I even do that, for instance?
That's a very good question, Maurice. Mm-hmm. The obvious reason is that we are more economical and cost efficient than the bigger firms. We invest heavily in technology So our overhead is low, and we pass the cost savings onto our clients, as opposed to a larger law firm where you're paying for the overhead of a large office and a large staff. Although our rates are less, we provide the same level of service and, dare I say it, greater attention to detail and attention to our clients than the attorneys at the larger law firms. Mm-hmm. My colleague Alan Nachemson and I each have close to 20 years of experience. We not only know the law, we know how it will directly impact your personal and business lives. Mm-hmm. Our law firm is also a small business as well, so we can relate to the needs and concerns of small business owners, especially cost effectiveness.
So in effect, you're very nimble.
Yes, we are very nimble. And also at a large law firm, a small to medium-sized business owner will be relegated to a young associate because partners who have the same level of experience as Alan and I do are usually too busy providing service to Fortune 100 company clients. Plus, we know that to a lot of people, the word lawyer or attorney is a dirty word. So we consider ourselves more than just attorneys. We're advisors to our clients. We focus on developing long-term relationships with our clients, and we seek to grow with our clients, and we've done that in many different respects. Okay. Each of our clients gets our cell phone numbers, and we are always available. We're always reachable, even in case of emergencies when we are on vacation overseas, or there was a situation this year where I was away on my birthday, and a client needed something, and of course I wasn't thrilled about the idea of working on my birthday, but to me the client always comes first.
That's understood. And that's a key to a small law firm. Not only are you nimble, you're accessible and willing to make the sacrifices to make sure they're in good shape.
Absolutely. Our client always comes first to us.
That's appreciated. So let's say I was told that I need to retain a civil attorney for my business, even if I'm not in a lawsuit right now. Is that right? That correct?
Yes. The time to retain an attorney is not when you're being sued. Obviously you have to retain an attorney when you are being sued, but it's important to do it proactively. I believe every small and medium-sized business should have a business attorney on retainer for preventative purposes, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Whether you're entering into a contract, expanding your business by adding partners or employees, or ending a business relationship, with all due respect, you don't know what you don't know. Just as every business has an accountant on retainer to keep your books in order, you need an attorney to advise you on what you may not know in the legal world. And additionally, our law firm collaborates with other professionals in other fields. So if a situation comes up where you need services and their services of a different kind, we'll be able to tell you when you need those services, and we'll be able to put you in touch with the right people.
So first you become a guidance counselor, if you will, and then when the need arises, you can go in there and be the type of lawyer and legal counsel that they need when the situation truly arises.
Exactly.
That's understood. So let's say I have a business partner that's not doing well health-wise. I mean, what do you suggest should we do? Let's say he passes away, and I don't want to deal with any of his family members. Even though you're not a large company, I'm not a large company, maybe I have $3 million in sales, are you able to work with me?
Yes, and the key to that is you have to plan ahead. The time to consult an attorney is not when your partner passes away or when he becomes disabled. I would recommend a consultation with an attorney who will be able to review your operating agreement and other corporate documents and advise you as to your rights under the agreement and what the next steps should be. Fortunately, a lot of business people download a pro forma operating agreement from the internet and never look at it again.
Okay.
It's important that operating agreements are reviewed and updated on a regular basis to protect your assets and interest. There's also insurance that you can obtain, which will pay out a lump sum when a partner is diagnosed with an illness or when he dies. And this can help you stay afloat in your business or buy your other partner's interest. But the important thing is to make sure that your documents are in order.
Have you ever had situations where you've had to deal with this kind of scenario where people have come in and they've had that kind of tension and you've had to manage it. Let's say a member of the family did want to deal with that business partner, and you had to figure that out. Have you faced some of things like that?
Absolutely. And of course, the key to that is negotiation, effective negotiation, and defending my clients' rights. And there's also so much of the legal world is compromise, and it's important for everybody to compromise, especially at a sensitive time like that.
That's appreciated. That's appreciated. Let's say I want a business divorce, and to get rid of my business partner, what are your suggestions?
Once again, it all comes down to the corporate documents. Okay. Do you have something in your corporate documents that will protect you in the case of a business separation? So the first step is getting a consultation to see if there's something in the operating agreement or the corporate documents that will protect you. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, business divorce, like a regular divorce, has the potential to become as toxic as a real divorce. But it doesn't have to be that way. I recently negotiated what I consider a successful business separation of a medical partnership.
All right.
I consider it successful because it was relatively amicable. So I would suggest also, before consulting an attorney, sitting down with your partner and discussing your feelings in a non-confrontational, positive way, and discussing what you want to do. And hopefully you'll end up on the same page, and it won't be as toxic as it could potentially be.
Mm. That's appreciated. That cannot be easy. I can imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Miss Natalie Klyashtorny, who is of counsel of the Noctumson PC law firm located in Center City, Philadelphia. I am Maurice Goodman, your host, and you're listening to the Ask the Experts radio show on 610 AM ESPN in Philadelphia.
The attorneys at Noctumson PC possess nearly 40 years of combined legal experience and business know-how. They are well known for skillfully handling business and real estate transactions from beginning to end and, when necessary, fighting disputes both large and small in court. That's why many clients come to Noctumson PC after their previous attorneys have failed them. The attorneys at Noctumson PC can help you with all your business, real estate, and employment needs. If you're looking for attorneys who work swiftly, make themselves available 24/7, and provide value for their time, contact Noctumson PC at 215-399-1346.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I am your host, Maurice Goodman, and you're listening to the Ask the Experts radio show on 610 ESPN in Philadelphia. Today we're talking to Miss Natalie Klyashtorny, who is of counsel to the Noctumson PC located in Center City, Philadelphia, where she practices business law and commercial counseling and litigation and employment and labor law. So we were speaking a little bit about business law, and in this case, just before the break, we were talking about a business divorce, and wanted to talk a little bit about maybe some scenarios that you face, maybe one or two that you can share, and how that business divorce worked, and was everybody happy? Did they come back? I mean, how did it work out? Because some of the listening audience are going to want to know, when you're in a tight situation, how you make it through and how you make it whole for the client.
Right. Well, a lot of it, as I stated previously, depends on not just being a counselor, but also being a de facto psychologist and counseling your clients accordingly and making sure that cooler heads prevail. Mm-hmm. Because usually what happens is it's a long-term relationship, like a marriage.
Yes.
And there's also feelings and strong emotions. Mm-hmm. So to make it as painless as possible, you really have to make sure that the emotions are in check, or held in check. Mm. And sometimes that's hard to do. And a lot of it has to do with controlling the client as much as anything else. Mm-hmm. Saying, listen, this is in your best interest. You should do this, as opposed to, what you would like to do from a strictly emotional perspective. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, then it's, like I said, relatively painless. However, there have been situations where a business separation has been protracted, and that's usually been when parties dig in their heels.
Sure. Speak to me about some of the sizes of the firms that you've dealt with. I mean, in some cases, they could be small firms, could be startups, could be large firms. What are some of the smallest firms you've dealt with and some of the largest firms you've dealt with?
Well, in addition to working with firms, we also deal with individuals as well.
Okay.
So to answer that question, it's anywhere from one to we've dealt with companies of over 10,000 employees. So yeah.
And that's in the region, Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or around the country? Where have you?
Mostly Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York.
Okay. Here's a question I wanted to, as we dive further into the main parts of the questions, one of the key questions I wanted to ask you is, that Philadelphia is going through a sizable renaissance. A lot of activities going on, developers coming in, what have you. What is the state of play in the legal world of setting up businesses, commercial counseling, be it a commercial real estate firm over here or a large business over here? What are you seeing as the city is beginning to really grow and burgeoning? Are there more problems they're facing, or?
There's a lot of development in the city now, Maurice, a lot of real estate development, and it's great because 10, 20 years ago, the city was filled with vacant lots, and now a lot of those vacant lots are being developed and beautiful homes are going in those spaces. Unfortunately, sometimes that can be a difficult process,
yes.
Having to deal with zoning issues, having to deal with the city of Philadelphia and the bureaucracy. And also, I'm sure people have heard in the news that a lot of people in city council want to tax real estate development, which is not going to be in the city's interest, because then what will happen is the developers that are operating the city will go into the suburbs or into other states. Mm-hmm. So it's not easy. Mm-hmm. The city could make it easier and should make it easier. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen.
Mm-hmm. That's understood. So I have a question about shareholder value and shareholder disputes. So let's say I have a shareholder dispute and I think one of my co-shareholders is stealing from the company. What should I do?
If there's a dispute that's going on with you and the other shareholders, and if you are not already represented by an attorney, you should definitely seek the consultation of an attorney as to your rights and options under the operating agreement and the corporate documents. Typically, your corporate documents should spell out whether you as a shareholder has a right to an audit. And of course, if you suspect that there's theft in the company, I would recommend retaining a forensic accountant or a fraud expert to confirm whether your suspicions are correct.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of those issues going around. Mostly are private. In other words, shareholder
correct
is private, right?
Correct.
Have you ever had to face a scenario where there was an upcoming IPO, initial public offering, or a company that was already publicly traded that you've had to deal with?
We usually don't deal with publicly traded companies. We deal with private companies, closely held companies.
Mostly closely held and private companies.
Correct.
Gotcha there. So most of those issues are going to be there, and that individual case is going to be mostly private between the client, the issue, the lawyer, et cetera.
Correct, and the other parties, the other shareholders, and the other attorneys.
Gotcha. Now, do I need an attorney to make sure my company employee guidelines are in order?
Absolutely. As a business owner, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And most business owners are not familiar with the myriad of federal, state, and local laws that impact their businesses. And the law is always changing, and there's always additional laws being passed. For instance, the city of Philadelphia recently passed paid sick leave, which is not, it's not the law on the federal level, but it's if you're an employer in the city of Philadelphia with employees of 10 or more, paid sick leave would apply to you. And even, like I said, so-called mom and pop small businesses are subject to certain laws. A good example of that is Pennsylvania's non-discrimination law. The Pennsylvania Human Relations Act applies to any business that has only 4 or more employees. So you can have less than a handful of employees, and that law applies to you.
And how is that working with some of your clients? I mean, they see that scenario and they go, okay, now what do I do now? And they're calling you on the phone and you're guiding them through it. And then next thing you know, the law may be shifting again. So how are you guiding your clients through some of the myriad of changes and then get them in a space where they're the most comfortable and can act on some of the business deals that they're looking for?
We keep our clients informed with legal alerts and legal blasts that we send out to our clients.
Okay.
And of course, if there's individual situations, they can contact us and we'll look at the situation. We'll look at an existing employee guidelines handbook. and we'll revise it to conform to the current law. And if there is not one, there really should be one for most businesses, we'll draft one for them.
How often do you have your clients then, once they're satisfied with what you do, refer you to other businesses and relationships that they have?
Very often. We market ourselves primarily on word of mouth. And like I said, we believe in developing relationships and creating relationships by introducing our clients to one another. And of course, they do likewise with us. They will introduce us to their business partners, their contacts, and it just flows, and
it's a good thing. It sounds like first they're happy,
yes,
and then they reach out to someone else and say, "I'm good. Work with Natalie."
Yes, absolutely.
And have there been situations? Do you find that your business is growing mainly because of that kind of relationship, that kind of symbiosis between the current client, the potential client, and the referrals and so on?
Absolutely. Reputation is everything. I tend to find that Philadelphia is a very small community.
As large as it is, it's still a small town.
It's a small town, and we primarily practice in Philadelphia, although we have cases, like I said, in New Jersey and New York, and we also represented a client in the UK recently as well. So it's really important to have a good reputation and to make sure the client is satisfied so that they can refer you to other people.
Indeed. Well, I see it is time to take another quick break. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Miss Natalie Klyashtorny, who is of counsel of Nockamson PC, located in Center City, Philadelphia, where she practices and focuses in on business and commercial counseling and litigation and employment and labor law. I am your host, Maurice Goodman, and you're listening to the Ask the Experts radio show on 610 AM Sports in ESPN in Philadelphia.
The attorneys at Nockamson PC possess nearly 40 years of combined legal experience and business know-how. They are well known for skillfully handling business and real estate transactions from beginning to end and, when necessary, fighting disputes both large and small in court. That's why many clients come to Nockamson PC after their previous attorneys have failed them. The attorneys at Nockamson PC can help you with all your business, real estate, and employment needs. If you're looking for attorneys who work swiftly, make themselves available 24/7, and provide value for their time, contact Nockamson PC at 215-399-1346.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. This is your host, Maurice Goodman, and you're listening to the Ask the Experts radio show on 610 AM ESPN in Philadelphia. Today we're talking with Miss Natalie Klyashtorny, who is of counsel at the Nockamson PC law firm located in Philadelphia. She is a business lawyer extraordinaire, and she is here to discuss with you the better parts of business law and how to put good organizations together, deal with litigation, employment, and labor law as well. A couple of minutes left. I wanted to ask you this question. Let's say I wanted to hire someone with a pre-existing non-compete agreement with restrictive covenants. Can I hire that person?
Well, Maurice, if it were me, I would not hire that person. However, I realize that there's situations where an employee seems, or prospective employee seems very attractive. So in those situations, I would definitely ask for the non-compete agreement that the prospective employee is subject to. Do not take that person's word for what's in the contents of the non-compete, because under the best of circumstances, people sometimes, are less than candid. So I would definitely ask for the non-compete agreement and have the non-compete agreement reviewed by one of your own attorneys to make sure that you are protected in the event that you want to hire this new employee.
Talk to me about non-compete or pre-existing non-compete agreements. What, in layman's term, what is that? And then in the context of business law and issues that come up with that, how important is that issue?
A lot of the times when a professional is hired by a company, he's required to sign an employment agreement or employment contract, which will contain what's called a non-compete. The non-compete prevents him from being employed in a similar field in a certain geographic area for a duration of time after he leaves the employ of the first employer. For instance, you're you work for this radio station. If you leave the radio station, you may have a contract with the radio station which specifies that you cannot work for any radio station in Philadelphia for a period of 1 year after you leave here. Mm-hmm. So if you leave and then you go to a competing station and you try to get a job there and they hire you, this current radio station can file a lawsuit against you and the new station. Mm. That's why it's so important for the second employer to review your non-compete agreement and make sure that you're good to be hired.
So it can be tricky, is what you're saying, especially
yes.
in a business scenario here.
Absolutely.
Are there scenarios where you couldn't untangle the issue of the pre-existing non-compete agreement? And if you were able to find a workaround, what was it?
Well, if you knowingly signed the non-compete agreement, it would be very difficult to set it aside. Usually, sometimes when, you can set aside a non-compete agreement if it's unreasonable. Mm-hmm. By unreasonable, meaning that you sign a contract with this radio station, and in the contract it says you cannot be employed by any radio station for the next 10 years. That is something that would be considered unreasonable because it basically prohibits from you making a living.
Okay.
So if it's unreasonable in terms of time, meaning years of employment, or unreasonable in terms of geographic duration. For instance, if the non-compete agreement says that you can't be employed by any radio station anywhere in the country, okay, that would be considered unreasonable as well, mm-hmm. usually.
Mm-hmm. I see that it's time to conclude for today. So if you would, please, why don't you give us your phone number, web address, one time here for our listening audience so they can get in touch with you.
Our telephone number is 215-399-1346. Our web page is www.nachumson, NOCHUMSON.com. And my email is Natalie, NATALIE .Klyashtorny, KLYASHTORNY at Nachumson, NOCHUMSON.com.
Well, that's great. I greatly appreciate that, and thank you. And I'd also like to thank our sound engineer, Mr. Brett Cronenberger. We greatly appreciate that. This is Maurice Goodman. I'm your host, and you've been listening to the Ask the Experts radio show on 610 ESPN in Philadelphia. We'll see you next week. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Experts show today. Join us again next week for more specialists in their field of legal health, financial, and home improvement. The attorneys at Nachumson PC possess nearly 40 years of combined legal experience and business know-how. They are well known for skillfully handling business and real estate transactions from beginning to end and, when necessary, fighting disputes both large and small in court. That's why many clients come to Nachumson PC after their previous attorneys have failed them. The attorneys at Nachumson PC can help you with all your business, real estate, and employment needs. If you're looking for attorneys who work swiftly, make themselves available 24/7, and provide value for their time, contact Nachumson PC at 215-399-1346.